Hi, and welcome to Intermission at Folk Night at the Registry. I'm Jan Vanderhorst, and right now we get to spend a few minutes with our featured guest tonight, Eileen McGann. Welcome back to Kitchener, Eileen.
Thank you. So glad to be here.
You mentioned earlier when we were in the building that it feels like home.
Yeah, this Kitchener, the Registry, this Folk Night series, it always feels like home. It always feels great to be here.
Now, tonight you're sharing your music with us, but you have another creative passion, and that is painting.
Yes, thank heavens.
How long have you been painting?
Oh, about 25 years, seriously.
And is it something that you studied in university, or is it just something that you just developed?
No, I studied everything else in university. Yep.
Because I know you studied medieval studies in university, but what got you interested in painting?
I just love color, and I love trees and nature, and it was a way to connect. And I started drawing when I was touring all the time in the 80s and 90s, and I just had a sketchbook, and that's all I could do. So I sketched all these wonderful landscapes we went through right across North America and Britain and Ireland. And I would come home with sketches, and I'd think, gee, I wish I could paint. And finally, I realized I have to stop wishing and just start working. So mid-90s, I started getting serious about it. And I've been so grateful that I had another profession to turn to these last 3 years, because this is my first concert in 3 years.
Wow. You, as you mentioned, you do landscapes, and one feature of those landscapes are what I would call stained glass trees.
Yeah.
When did you develop that kind of a technique?
Quite early on, actually. I began with watercolor, and I found one just a couple weeks ago when I was clearing in the basement, and I found one of my first stained glass trees, and it was done like early 90s.
Okay.
But again, I loved medieval art and architecture, and I've always loved stained glass, and I love trees, and I love the tracery that trees make that Louis Tiffany used in his stained glass works. And I thought, why don't I combine the luminosity of watercolor and acrylic with medieval idea of light coming from behind. And it also helps you to see the structure of tree and the way that it grew and the way that the wind has twisted it over time.
Right.
You see it in the winter. And most people, when they paint trees, they paint in full foliage. My stained glass series is winter trees, so you see the whole still alive, and they're interacting with the sky and with the light.
Yeah. But you sort of see what they've gone through in their growth.
Yeah, exactly. It's like the whole history is in the growth, and then I try to emphasize that with the glow behind it, with the colors in the trees and the sky.
So how much time do you spend wandering out, getting inspiration, looking at different landscapes that are around you?
Whenever I can. Like when on tour, I'm always out there with my sketchbook or my camera. At home, whenever the weather's good, and often when it's not. There's always wonderful landscapes, rocks and trees and water.
Right. And you have, I'm sure, an extensive workplace to work on your paintings and display them.
I now have a little gallery at my home.
All right. Excellent.
My partner David built it for me just before the pandemic. We opened it up just before the pandemic.
Timing is everything.
And then the doors had to shut.
Right.
But now I have a little gallery at home. I work in a bedroom, a converted bedroom that's now my art studio. So mainly I have a desk and then just stuff everywhere. In fact, if people want to see my workspace, I have a YouTube video. All
right.
So just go to YouTube and look up my name, and there's a tour both of the gallery and of my art room, the messy room.
How important was it to have that that passion, that vocation during the past 3 years?
Oh, it made all the difference. It saved my sanity.
Okay.
Because all the tours just disappeared, right? It's just, and it's been an interesting few years, and difficult as it has been for everybody. But when you kind of define yourself for most of your life as a musician, and suddenly you're not able to do it anymore, there's that question of, well, who am I and what am I doing here?
Right.
And I think a lot of people in a lot of professions have gone through that with the pandemic. I felt really blessed that I could turn to the painting
Mhm.
and know that even if I can't let people in my gallery to buy it, they can buy it online, and I can accumulate enough so that when things open up again, whenever that is really, people can come and there will be a variety of paintings for them to see.
Right.
And I'm going to have a virtual open house at the end of the month, and then I'm going to have my first little opening in October.
Excellent. Excellent. Now, how beneficial also was it during this time to live where you live, just to get some peace and think about your life and what's going on and what your future plans are and what you would like to achieve?
It was amazing to be in such a beautiful place. I live on Vancouver Island, for those of you who don't know, and it's just a beautiful place. I live in a rural area, and just to be able to walk out the door and see the sky and the ocean and wonderful variety of trees out there, and there's just a peacefulness there.
Mhm.
And a time of trouble is a time of turning. I think somebody put in a song.
We mentioned earlier about you when you went to university, it was for medieval studies. What attracted you to that area of study?
Well, my first degree was in history and philosophy,
Okay.
and I did ancient and medieval history and ancient and medieval philosophy, and I just kind of loved all of that.
Mhm.
And ended up going to the Institute of Medieval Studies, the Pontifical Institute in Toronto, where they had a master's degree that did a little bit of everything. So I did some art and architecture, so I was able to look at cathedrals and the stained glass and how that developed, and also castles and military architecture, which sort of was part of my imagination as a fairy tale consuming child. So yeah, I did history, philosophy, medieval studies, and then I did another degree in theater.
Okay.
That was actually near Windsor Great Park. We were watching Windsor this morning.
Oh, yes, right.
So I used to walk in Windsor Great Park and look at these amazing 1,000-year-old oaks, and they were inspiring.
Was it also during that time that you started playing music and writing your own material?
No, by that time I had already put out my first album and had recorded most of my second.
Okay.
Before I went to England. And so while I was there, that's when I started playing in the British folk scene.
Okay.
And so it was a really good year that way. I kind of got known on the British folk scene and played the festivals over there. And so yeah, that was really inspiring, and it was wonderful playing over there too, meeting other people who did both traditional music and who wrote songs,
Mhm.
and took that for granted. Where they didn't say, "Are you a singer-songwriter or are you a traditional performer?"
Right.
Over there, they just kind of, "Sure, you do both,"
Yes.
and you get inspired by the tradition to write new songs, and that was good with them.
Right.
They also don't care what color your hair is.
It's good to know. Now you're doing 3 concerts in Ontario, a little mini tour just to dip your toes in the water.
That's right.
What are your plans for the next few months once this is done?
My biggest plan was to do this and enjoy it and see people in 3 dimensions again.
Right.
Realize that there's a big world out there and see some friends. And yeah, dip my toes in and see how it goes. See if touring under these circumstances is possible, and get home healthy.
Right.
And then the next few months, I don't have any other gigs planned the next few months, so it's getting back to opening the gallery, I think, is that, and then maybe looking at another album.
Have you been writing songs during these past 3 years?
Some. I've been doing arrangements,
Okay.
looking at other traditional material. I've written a few songs, so I'm not quite at another album yet, but hopefully soon.
Yeah, every artist that I've talked with lately has had sort of a different attitude. Some have been able to write and be creative musically, and others, they just don't feel it. They're just, the way things are, they're just not in that headspace.
It was hard to get into the headspace of writing it, because it kind of felt like, well, I'm going to do all this work on the music, and then
What for?
what for? Where's it going to go? So to just kind of keep myself on an even keel, I went to my art room and was just quiet. and just, enjoyed trees and rocks and water, whether I was in my studio or outside sitting by the water.
Because solitude is just as beneficial as putting pen to paper or whatever.
It is. I find, though, I write a lot of songs when I'm on tour,
Okay.
when I'm traveling, and when I'm walking, or I used to write a lot when I was paddling. So yeah, it was hard being kind of shut up, especially for those first few months when we were all in hiding.
Right.
It's also interesting, I'm finding this week, coming out and talking to people where I haven't been talking to people except, on Zoom or whatever. I kind of out of the habit of talking.
Right.
I go to my room and I paint, and I talk to David, and other than that, it's been really wonderful to get out in the world and see some friends and realize, oh yeah, there's a world out here, and there's music in it that we can make together, and we can sing together. I'm looking forward to that.
We've sort of forgotten how we do this.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time. Really great to see you, and,
good to see
welcome
you.
you back to Kitchener and Folk Night at the Registry.
Thank you, and hi everybody out there.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for coming.